Yeah. So as you know that these talks are being organized by India International Education Council and School Lalaji Solutions. India International Education Council is a not-for-profit organization which is working in the field of education. It has collaborators from 12 countries. It aims to create a better world through education. It also aims to build quality centers for elementary education, which are approachable for all kids. It also tries to find best educational practices across the globe and find ways to implement those in Indian institutions. It also tries to create more awareness on hygiene and learning disabilities. It publishes a magazine called World Education Review and many other educational reports. It also aims to build 100 chapters in different cities by 2022. It will soon open its membership for institutions and individuals. It also imparts training for leaders, teachers, students, and parents. As I share that this is our 60th session, and so far successfully we have organized 59 sessions. In these 59 sessions, we have received 5,962 registrations, 5,198 questions. We've seen participation from 5 different countries: India, USA, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Nepal. We have also seen participation from 19 states in India and 78 cities. We aim to organize 200 sessions, and we will be reaching out to 100,000 educators, 20,000 institutions, and 1,000 plus eminent speakers like today's speakers would be joining us to share their perspective and would be suggesting the roadmap for a successful implementation of national education policy. So with this, I would request, please join me in welcoming our key speakers for the day. Our first speaker for the day, Dr. Vidukesh Vimalji. He's the headmaster of the Assam Valley School, Tejpur. Uh, Dr. Vidukesh has had distinguished academic career with an MPhil from the University of Delhi, a B.Ed from Faculty of Education, Jamia Millia Islamia University. He has an international postgraduate certificate from University College London and a certificate course in student residential care Australia. He also has a certificate in school management and leadership from Harvard Business School and Harvard Graduate School of Education. He's also a certified special educator from District Mumbai. Dr. Vimal has spent 14 years in Doon School, Dehradun. He was also where he was the headmaster of Jaipur House, and prior to that, he had also been part of Mayo College, Ajmer. He had begun his career as a teacher with St. Francis de Sales, Delhi.
Rajulji, you need to work on your audio. It's not audible.
Doctor, I believe I'm better now.
Now, yes.
Yes, yes. Now it's better. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dr. Vimal is an ardent photographer and a theater enthusiast. Dr. Vimal's expressions almost always finds their source in his profound love for poetry. So, we welcome you, Dr. Vimal. It's an honor to have you, sir. Thanks for joining.
Thank you very much.
Our next key speaker, Dr. Sebil Sanyalji. Sanyal sir is principal with the Birla Center of Excellence, Pune. He is a PhD in English. His total experience is 34 years. He has been with BK Birla Center of Education since 2013. He has received many distinguished and recognized, uh, you know, acclaimed awards like a top 100 principal award from All India from ATK Group 2019. He has also received a Bharat Vidya Shiromani Award by International Institute of Education in 2018. He also received Dr. S. Radhakrishnan Award by International Human Rights Association 2016. He also received Dayanand Saraswati Award in 2014. His school ranked among the top 10 at the country level, All India. He was also ranked number one in Maharashtra. We welcome you, Sanyal sir. It's an honor to have you. Your presence is very special. Thank you for joining. Next key speaker, Dr. Matthew Varghese. Matthew sir is principal with MD Minda Memorial School, Hisar, Haryana. He has 33 years of experience in the field of education. He's also the secretary of Hisar Sahodia Schools. He is the postgraduate in English History and Education. He is the doctorate in English Literature. He's the recipient of a Best Educationist Award by International Institute of Education and Management. He also received Best Principal Award by Raha Group Foundation. He received Avantika APJ Abdul Kalam Award, Acharya Chanakya Shikshavit Samman. We welcome you, Matthew sir. Your presence is always special. Your support has been very integral to the success of these leadership talks. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Raju.
Next key speaker, Dr. Kavita Dahiya ji. Dr. Kavita Dahiya is assistant professor with SRM University, Haryana. Dr. Dahiya has research interests which that are from emotional maturity, work, family, conflict, well-being, job satisfaction, stress, leadership, KMN, and organizational communication. She is a passionate researcher and management professional with a strong belief in continuous learning. Dr. Kavita brings in rich experience of 14 years in academics. Dr. Kavita earned her MBA in HRM and marketing and doctorate in management. She is also an active researcher. She has published many research papers, in prestigious journals and books. She has also participated in several workshops and presented research papers in various reputed international national conferences. She is a regular writer to international national journals like Scopus and SCI Index. We welcome you, Dr. Kavita. Thank you for joining. Next key speaker, Jaswinder Singh ji. Jaswinder ji is the founder and CEO of Wordsworth ELT. Wordsworth English Lab is designed for India and is highly research initiative of ACT UNIF Group. It is a trusted educational company with 2 decades of service in technology education and training. Its expertise in technology, multimedia, and content development. I would request if other people can. So this Wordsworth ELT is a trusted company with 2 decades of service in technology education and training. Its expertise in technology, multimedia, and content development has been instrumental in presenting a world-class language lab solution for academia in Delhi, academia in India. In a short span of time, Wordsworth English Language Lab has managed considerable recognition across the country for its unique content and methodology. Over 3,000 installations in institutions across the country stand testimony of the quality in product implementation, training, and continual service provided by ACT UNIF and its committed network of dealers. We welcome you, Jaswinder ji. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Rajul. Thank you so much.
Next key speaker, Mr. Savio John. Savio is head of quality with Torrens. Savio is a professional musician, specifically a singer, a songwriter, and guitarist. He has been performing since a very young age and has toured multiple cities performing in various venues. He is also a gospel musician, has featured on multiple TV shows. He is currently working with Torrens Music and heading quality and delivery excellence in India. Since the past 8 years, he has been working with institutions engaged in vocational education, handling business development, strategy, and implementation. Savio has always been vocal about making music a compulsory subject in school, as the creativity, discipline, and communication that it demands, would help students become better individuals. Savio has authored the vocal curriculum for Torrens and conducts vocal workshops across various schools. So we welcome you all. This session is going to be very, very special. As this is our 60th session, we welcome you once again. Now we would open the platform. I would request all our speakers to share their opening remarks for 1 minute. So I would begin with Vidukesh Vimal sir. If we can have your opening remark, Vimal sir.
Thank you very much. And I'll say, if we talk about national education policy, I'll say this particular document is a kind of aspiration presented in the form of policy, and this aspiration of the people of this country. Because when you are reaching, now next century, and we are moving towards, and we talk about 21st century, then you need to be prepared for that. So the challenges when we got freedom at that time, and the first 70 years of our journey, it was different. And that's why if you look at the earlier education policy, the focus was on Operation Blackboard. The focus was on kind of where literacy was the focus, because we wanted to kind of enhance certain things at that moment, and those are very basic things. And now we realize that as a country we have achieved certain things on certain level, and now we move to the next level. And this policy reflects that aspiration, and I'm pretty confident that over the period of time, the kind of things they're put in, we will definitely be able to achieve a lot over the period of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Now I would request Anil sir, if you can have your opening remark.
Yeah, good evening to all of you. if you're looking at the NEP to 2020, which was presented this year, early this part of the year, first half, this policy has been very well designed, doctored, because it's the first time a policy has been made from the earliest part of education. Initially, our first initial years of education was never well designed or drafted. So each school thought that my way of education is the best. A great, really meritorious and well group of experts designed this. The name talks for it, the people who are there making it. Because this particular policy not only focuses on the academics, which is per se a very important part, but it focuses on the overall development in various values of a person's growth towards achieving something. Because if we have to face the world and we say that we are a developing country to be made developed, I think this focus on this NEP is going to be of paramount importance. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanyal sir. And I would request Matthew sir now. Sir, your opening remark.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I must thank School Alaji and India International Education Council for taking this initiative for a wide discussion and debate on NEP 2020. I think this is the 60th session. I will highlight the use of integration and the use of technology in the context of NEP 2020. Above all, the very purpose of this National Education Policy 2020 is to establish high quality education through technology so that India becomes a global hub of education. NEP is the educational roadmap of India. This is what I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jaswinder ji, I would request if we can have your opening remark. Sir, you are on mute.
Yeah, thank you, Rajulji. And good evening, everybody. I've got senior educationists with me. Since I come from the EdTech background, education and technology, especially when we talk about languages and English as a language, my focus on my entire talk today or discussion is going to be language oriented. And this NEP 2020 has come with a major challenging change when it talks about teaching the early years in their mother tongue, which is a very good thing. It is something very important because we've seen, I am from the state of Gujarat, and we have seen that all our age level people, if you look at most of the senior most doctors in Ahmedabad, where I come from, are people who studied through Gujarati medium, right? Or some other medium. That means understanding core subjects in their mother tongue is important. That's what they've brought in. But somewhere they'll have to bring in a parallel with English as a language, because that is the language which binds everybody and brings the Indian out of the Indians. So that's what I say. I really applaud the government for what they've done, especially when they brought in kind of people who are in the making, in the works. I'm talking about chief of ISRO. When they got those people to design and work on this policy, I think a great job done. Rest is for us all to implement it, and that's the road ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would request Savio, if we can have your opening remark.
Good evening to everyone. Congratulations, Rajanji, on organizing the 60th session. Looking forward to many more. And thank you for having us on board so we could present this brand Torrens. And I'm really looking forward to this session. I was going through some details of the 1986 NPE, which it was at that time. It had only one line, which was mentioned in point 27H. It said organization of joyful extracurricular activities, including skits, plays, dancing, singing, games, sports, excursions, etc. And that is where all the extracurricular activities were summarized. So for a company like us, we are aggregators of music, extracurricular activities. So the new draft of the NEP is very exciting, and the focus given to extracurricular this time is what we are looking at. We are really looking forward to. And we hope to shed a little more light on those activities in this session. Thank you.
Right. So certainly, thank you, Savio. Kavita ji, I am told that you have joined us, but I don't see your name in the list of participants.
Issues empowerment.
Dr. Kavita Dahiya, are you here? Okay. So she's yet to join. Right. So with this, we come to the next part of this session, which is the main talk session. We will request all our speakers to share their perspective, thoughts, and ideas, in detail. I would request all the speakers, to restrict their thoughts within 10 minutes. So we would begin with Vimal sir. I would request if we can have your ideas and thoughts. I'll also request all our speakers if we can share one or two some ideas which we can implement or which you want every school to implement. Some new thought or something. So that would be a great compilation of ideas. So Vidukesh, Vimal sir, we would begin with you. Over to you, sir. You are on mute, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Mr. Sanyal rightly mentioned that this particular document is very well written document, fine, and that's why, as I said in the beginning, like when whatever you do, that is contextual. When India got freedom, and after that, the kind of challenges we faced, accordingly, you choose to achieve certain things based on that context. Now, the context has changed, and as per that context, the aspiration and ambition also has changed. It's very important to understand where we are and what we want to achieve at the same time. I'll say this is a back and forth, like it's a very futuristic document rooted in our culture. That's a very important part. If you look at the concept or the scope dialogue in this particular document, it talks about Gyan, fine? The connecting Gyan with future. That's very, very important. Because if you look at the irony of our education system, what exactly happened? When Macaulay's concept was accepted, and Macaulay's comment, when he made that comment in British Assembly, he said, India's Gyan, India's knowledge can be put into one Almira. India's land of snake charmers, fine? The whole Gyan can be put into that one Almira. So think about that we, for n number of years, has carried forward a concept where the education system had discarded your Gyan system. Fine? And that's why your understanding and your overall outlook is very much, I'll say, at a superficial level. This document talks about to go back to Gyan. Now, what is Gyan? That we need to understand. Gyan is the knowledge or the kind of information which is available in a very contextual society, wherever you live in that particular area, that has certain kind of information, certain kind of best practices in every field, from agriculture to say medicine to say any other area, you name it, from say art, music, you name it, and that particular thing is prevailing, it's there in that particular context. Now, if you are getting educated and the more you get educated, you are uprooted, you are not connected with your roots, you are not connected with your culture, then how you are going to serve your country? And that's why it's very, very important to bring that Gyan into that, into picture. B is, it also brings the experiential learning part. Because if you want our students, if you want the future citizens to serve this country, to serve and to love this country, what is most important? How will you love something? Without knowing your country, how you will love your country? Without knowing your culture, how will you love your culture? Will I love my mother because I know her? Same age lady standing on the road by side, I may respect that lady. I may have full respect, whatever her age, but I may not love. That's very important that when you talk about love and respect, when you talk about engagement and social emotional bonding, is very important to know. So when we are creating future generation, future citizens, is very, very important that we create.
I'm in a seminar. I'm in a webinar till 7 o'clock. I'm a speaker over here. Can I talk to you after?
We create such students or such citizens who are connected and rooted to our culture. And I think this is the most important aspect I see in this NEP, where they had tried. But yes, how we are going to implement it? That's the biggest question. And I think it's the responsibility of the school especially in junior classes, where you can design your curriculum, where you can bring things as per your context, and you accordingly introduce people. Because what happens, I always have given this word that we live in an island. Fine, there's so much happening in and around you, but your students and your school is not in a way bothered or say connected to those things. It's very important to connect people with your setup and surrounding. Otherwise, what happens? You are there, you are getting, you are studying, you are getting information, knowledge, and this happens with anything and everything. Like I have worked in, say, boarding schools and all top boarding schools in this country, and I've seen that some of the boarding schools, they try to connect with people, they try to outreach, they try to go and they ensure that they develop such programs where you are connected with people. As a school, we need to design and redesign certain things to ensure that, that's why sometimes what happens, your nearby historical area is too far compared to, say, when you are visiting London, Singapore, everywhere, anywhere you're traveling. I'm not saying one should not go to such places, but I think in your curriculum, there should be scope where you go to nearby area. If I may say here, like say, for example, I'm in Assam Valley School. This part is this school is situated in Tejpur. Tejpur, once upon a time, it was the cultural capital of Assam. Fine. And there's a huge amount of things like Hankardev Shastriyas to local, the traditional music form of, say, all kind of stuff. Now the point is the local traditional art form. Now the question is, are we connected? Our students are connected to such things, and what we are doing in our curriculum to ensure that this connection happens. That's a part. Now let's go back to the second part, which again very interesting. And Mr. Sanil rightly pointed it out that the earlier our document, the national policy, was kind of in the middle. It was bothered about when you reach at the age of, say, around 6 years, and then by 18. The point is, by the time you're reaching age 6, fine, your certain abilities, your certain things, already you have developed those things, and that's also unattended. There's no program for that. There's no design for that. And in today's time, government has taken the onus to design that learning. Otherwise, what happens? You are too much dependent on in which area you are living in. If you are fortunate enough to stay or to be in such a place where you have good or say above average primary schools, you have above average kindergarten schools, all kind of places, you will get exposed to better education. But if you are living in certain areas where such things are not there, then you are just simply, there's no exposure to students, nothing been taken. And then you are attaining age 6, but certain basic skills, certain basic understandings are missing altogether. And that's why people move to grade 1 to grade 2, grade 2 to grade 3, all kind of things happen. But if you look at in terms of abilities, in terms of capacity, and in terms of overall outlook, they are very much limited. And what happens due to this? In the beginning years only, it has been divided, or the society has been divided into two parts, which one is who's going to rule or who's going to, say, be the employer, and others who are going to be the employee. So this, like, we think that this is developing or this is happening at a higher level. No. The day you step into a school, your primary school, or the kind of education you've been exposed in the beginning for 6 years, at that time only, in a way, your fate has been decided. And then after that, you are fighting a lost battle. Because whatever you do, you are not going to exactly make it at that top level. And that's why I'm very, very proud of that. The government has taken cognizance of this particular aspect, and they have included and they thought of it that they are going to design it properly. That's a part. And the last, I'll say, the flexibility which they brought into in terms of, kind of selecting the subject and switching things from, because, you can't look at life in rigidity. If I give an analogy of here and story from, think about cricket once upon a time. The middle order batsman will say, I will never open. Think about it. If that rigidity would happen, we won't have got Sachin Tendulkar as a best one-day player who has scored n number of runs, because before he scored his first century, he has played almost 90 odd one day as a middle order batsman, and then one day in fine day in New Zealand, he opened the inning. So that flexibility, and if you look at today, so many players, they have spoiled their cricketing years and inning. Like the whole season has been spoiled, the whole career has been spoiled. Why? Because they are too much adamant that I will only play at this position, or I'll go up, or I'll go down. The flexibility is something which kind of ensures that you survive, you remain relevant. And I think this is the biggest, I'll say, option which government has created. This is the biggest creative way of looking at education, which they are giving to people, where you can kind of choose between subject. You can go back and forth in terms of your choices, and this choice will then ensure that your employability, because everyone is saying this, the future is uncertain. You don't know what kind of jobs and options will be available to people, and that's why you need to rather focus on skills than the subject and the information on that, because content and things will keep changing. The government is trying to prepare students for that future in terms of giving the flexibility to choose from different set, and then accordingly you are in a way future proof. If you are future proof, your overall employability will be on much higher side. I think with this, I conclude my remarks, because I have taken around 8.5 minutes. But great overall, I think that is a great document overall to help and to take India in the next century, and the next, say, next 30-35 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vimal sir, and certainly we all agree with your perspective that this NEP at least gives us a hope that now Gyan would get connected with the surroundings, and certainly the experiential learning, and would create more strong platforms, where the local talent and the, I would say, the more I would say the more empowered teachers and the more empowered learners, and in real terms, India would become the Vishwaguru in terms of Gyan. This NEP promises in that direction. So we all agree with you, sir. Now I would request Sanyal sir, sir, if we can have your ideas and your perspective in detail.
Mr. Sanyal, you're muted.
Is it okay now, sir? Can be heard?
Audible. It's audible, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. Good evening, and I'm really pleased that you all have all taken the pain to invite me for this and found me eligible to talk. At the foremost, I would like to say I would go by what Mr. Vidukesh ji has just mentioned. Connectivity, the school from where he also has come, that is Doon School. I've been not associated with Doon, but known great people, great headmasters of Doon. And I've heard them speaking, Mr. Kanti Bajpai, Mr. Shomi Das, Mr. Gulab Ramchandani also, I've heard them speaking. The greatness of these people, and that is what Doon is made today of, it's become so great because their connectivity with their students, their connectivity with their outer world. Mr. Shomi Dutt, I knew in the school when I met him, he knew the names of each and every student. Very few principals have got that capacity of knowing the names of the students, who they are, and from where do they come. This connectivity is what is directly linked with the NEP over here, of this year, which has come out. The NEP has been designed in a manner that, if you have a goal of a thought process, and thoughts become your karma, then I think that becomes your habit. And if habit is your character, I think you can do anything. Because here it is so well designed that, in my childhood, when my daughter was in nursery, I thought what she studied was the best. Then when I went to some other school, then I learned what they were doing. I found that was better. But who do I talk to about all this? This policy has taken it from the grassroots and has designed it in such a manner that we do not look at 9, 10 as those 2 years of struggle to get good percentage and go to 11th, or 11th, 12th being the benchmark of one's life. A benchmark of one's life needs a long span. And I think 9th to 12th benchmark is very well drafted so that these students have a time to decide on the subject, take the subject, because there are many students who have taken humanities, science, or commerce in 11th, and they suddenly realize that, no, this is not my forte. I have taken it because my father wanted to be taken this subject. He wanted me to take science because neighborhood, Mr. Gupta's son is in the IIT, so even I have to go to the IIT. But here, 4 years is a time where the son realizes or the daughter realizes what I am studying can change, get things in place. And there is so much of integration done now that, you understand not only physics, but you understand the physics around you. We just previously we knew only geometry. Now, what is geometry? Geometry is there in everything, in the construction, in the body architecture, in the buildings that are made. If we do not know geometry, we knew geometry to pass and get good marks in the 10th and 12th exams. But we did not know geometry in the art form of it. I think this is what has been done in this new policy. Because if you have an idea, I think this NEP has done it. You believe in it. And if you believe in it, I think sure you can create numerous things in it. Because this policy, as Sir also mentioned previously, we were considered to be a country of snake charmers. Now, to come out from that snake charmers country, we have to perform and do something different. And we have done it. But we have to do better if you want to stay with the world. People go on saying that we are not sure 10 years down the line what jobs are going to be there in the market. 10 years down the line, which industries are going to be there and which industries are not going to be there. The biggest example, which we saw about few years back, say about a decade back, was the downfall of normal photography. The company like Kodak fell flat when digital photography came into the picture. So we have to not only upgrade ourselves, we have to take learning to a different level. And taking learning to a different level, our teachers also have to be trained to that level. I think the new policy makes it very clear that you don't become a teacher because you know someone in that school. Or you don't stay as a teacher in that school because you know somebody in that school. You stay in that school because of your own performance. You stay in that school because of your own knowledge. And the depth of your knowledge makes you what you are. I think this is where we have to be really grateful that this current policy has played an enormous job in seeing that everything is drafted and crafted well for this, not only for the students, but also for the trainers. Because trainers, they know one thing, that they have to educate themselves to such a level that, we do not know what the next chapter or the next syllabus which is going to come to us. So, as Sir also mentioned, collaborative, innovative, critical thinking, problem solving, decision making will to be coupled with digital literacy is the hour of the day. And these things have been well drafted in the NEP. I'm sure this particular policy which is coming out which is going to be on the road in a few years from now or a year or two from now, whenever they put it, I think we have to all gear up. And if we gear up and do it properly, follow the policies in all its nitty-gritty and in an immaculate manner, I think focus on foundation, focus on the key assessment is the key to this policy. And if we do this in a clear-cut policy manner, in a very well-focused manner, we can do wonders and take the nation up. Because just rote learning is what we thought before. We just thought, by heart for this exam, get this exam, you become an engineer. I know engineers. It's a very clear example. I know an engineer when I had gone to Kanpur once. My next door neighbor, in the morning I saw them. I'd been to somebody's house. Next door I saw them sitting outside the full night. I asked them what happened. He's saying, it is so hot, it's so sultry over here, but there's no power. I said, no power? What happened? We had power. The power has not gone. He said, "Nee, pata nahi, my son is an engineer from IIT, but he could not solve it." So now what he's saying, let it be 9 o'clock, so we'll get an electrician. At 9 o'clock, an electrician came down, came up to their house, who might be about 14 or 15 years of age, saw the situation, pulled out the fuse, put a fuse and went off. Everything started working. They just paid him about 50 rupees. When I asked his son, you did not know? No, sir, I know the current value which is coming here. I know the resistance which is incorporated. I know the technology, but I don't know that a fuse has to be put. So the full night, the parents were outside. I think if we do vocational studies which is being implemented, we can do wonders, and that can change the outlook of our nation. That's what I look into it. Hope that this policy changes our mindset, our systems, and we do wonders. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So big thanks for sharing these ideas. We find a complete agreement that this is time for reskilling and upscaling. So big thanks, sir. We'll come back to you with questions. Now I would request Matthew, sir, if we can have your opinion, your ideas.
Yeah, good evening. See, amid COVID-19 pandemic, the Union government has launched National Education Policy 2020. And I would say that this is the right time to implement or launch this policy. The reason is that in the month of March, in the second week of March, none of us had thought about having a staff meeting online. None of us had thought about having an online classes for the students starting from the pre-primary. So this has highlighted the use of technology in education, in educational planning, teaching, learning, and assessment. And this has totally changed the structure of education system. This is going to change the education system in India. But as my previous speakers talking about the connectivity, that is, this policy is going to do this. The connectivity between the teacher and the students and the parents, and the skill educations which the students are supposed to get, not the rote learning which existed in the past. Now, the technology-oriented approach in school level, at all school level, is going to change the basic structure. Now, when we talk about this one, the central government through this national education policy has created National Educational Technology Forum. And the very purpose of this forum is to advise central and state government on the use of technology in education. And Jaswinder sir will be speaking more about this.
Thank you.
And build intellectual and institutional capacities and articulate new directions for research and innovations. And when we talk about this, from 6th standard onwards, as per this policy, the coding is going to be implemented so that the students can get interest in this one and get into the programming if they like, and they can go for the higher studies. Now, India is a global leader in ICT. The very purpose of this is transform society into digitally empowered society. See, I remember about 35 years back, always whenever there is whenever a technology is introduced, there will be reluctance. There will be oppositions from every field. When something new is introduced, people, those who are living in the comfort zone, they are sure to oppose. But 35 years back, when computer was, about 40 years back, when computer was introduced by the then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, I can still remember like yesterday, lot of commotion, just like the Kisan this one, Morcha, nowadays, same thing was happening. And once I had to go to the railway station from Cochin in Kerala to board a train to New Delhi. And because the opposition parties were having hartal for 2-3 days, because they said that would take away the jobs. The computer is introduced in India, that would take away the jobs from the Indian market, and all were against it. And you know how I reached the railway station, and one of one of them arranged an ambulance for me, and I was in the ambulance. And if someone stops, I had to lie down and say that we are going to the hospital. And after a few years, I asked one of the leaders who conducted this dharna in our place, and are you still using the computers? He said, our union officers cannot work without a computer now. So this is the sorry state of affairs. Whenever something is introduced, we have always this and that, all sorts of oppositions to shun it. So we have to rise above the petty issues and to support the government in implementing this national education policy for the betterment of our society. Extensive use of this technology, as far as I am concerned, I would be just mentioning a few points regarding the use of technology. Extensive use of technology in teaching and learning. This is going to remove the language barriers. As Jaswinder sir had mentioned in his opening remarks, see, the students coming from the rural background, in a vernacular language, the medium of instruction is in vernacular language. He has been finding very difficult to get into any corporate job because he could not match up with the city students who could speak fluently in English. So this is going to remove the language barriers. This is increasing access to the specially abled students. The technology is going to help the Divyang students. Then not only that, streamlining of educational management and administration also. But this is going to help, this national education policy is going to completely change the total teacher training program in India. Because 50 hours of teacher training is required for every teacher under this program. And their e-content teaching learning is going to be there. And 3D or 7D virtual reality is going to emerge from this one. But extensive research is needed in new technologies, whether machine learning, artificial intelligence, I would say, smart boards and computer devices, language lab, ICT labs, library, online, offline. These things we could never imagine about 15, 20 years back. Now this is going to be there. Unless and until wholeheartedly we support this one, then there cannot be much progress in the society, especially in the education sector. And this policy has created National Research Foundation. This is going to take the initiative to expand research efforts in education technology, advancing international research to address the global needs. For example, as the education minister has recently said, top 100 universities in the world, they are going to establish their campus in India. So there will be a fair competitions. Our students would get an opportunity rather than going to spend their hard-earned money in Canada or the US or Australia, they would be spending the hard-earned money here in the country. So that the cooperation and the coordination among the international universities would be very much there as per the new policy. Now, see, but the thing is that national education policy and the technology, when we talk about the technology, but the political will should be there. But a good number of, many of my speakers would agree with me, a good number of public schools have already implemented about more than 90% of what is talked in the new education policy in letter and spirit. But the problem lies in the government sector. Whenever something is spoken about, the officials, the Babus are more concerned about the private school which are following all these programs, least bothered about the government sector. One of my parents, who is a teacher in a government school, came and told me recently, sir, there are 25 computers in my school, but we are not teaching the students. Government has given us a new room, 25 computers. When I asked him, why do you not use them? Sir, generator to hai. There is no electricity, so government has provided us a generator set also. But they have not given money for the diesel. So 25 computers are lying in the school for the last 3 years. And which is all full of dust. And he's told me that this is the sorry state of affairs in most of the government schools. And you talk very high, but the implementation part, the government, the bureaucrats, they have to change their attitude. It's a question of attitude. It's a question of political will. Otherwise, we will not be able to do much in this new education policy. Unless and until the government comes forward, and the gap between the private school and the government school, it's not the question of allotting funds, but it is a question of implementations. Implementation is lacking in our country. Unless and until these government schools, you see the government schools from one part of the country to the other part of the country, there is a, what we call Zameen Asman differences. So much gap is there. Some of the government schools in Kerala are much better standard than the private schools in some of the northern states. It's a question of how the government takes the initiative. Unless and until we have a good education system, we will not be able to take this country forward. So the gap between the private school and government school has to be bridged. In conclusion, I would say that national education policy represents an integrated yet flexible approach to education. So definitely this new education policy is going to reform, will be there, and this will reform the technology driven as a new policy is planning to digitally equip the schools, students and teachers to a better level. So I think unless and until the government makes it very clear and implement in letter and spirit, nothing is going to happen. But we have to be very, very positive in our approach. Let us look forward for a better days to come after the pandemic. I think there is light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matthew sir. And we all agree with your perspective that in India, we always discourage new initiatives. And I would connect this with what Vidukesh sir said, that we are always introduced to a rigid system. We are never encouraged to make experiments. But with the advent of this new national education policy, I believe the flexibility is being offered in the policy, in the curriculum, and in the options we choose from. So we have high hope with this policy. So big thanks. We would come back to you with questions. Now I would request Jaswinder sir, if we can have your thoughts and ideas.
Yeah. Thank you, Rajulji. I have had three very eminent speakers before me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build up my talk based on excerpts out of what they've said. Vidukesh Vimal sir, I've been connected with your school from the last 12 long years. I remember when our person had to visit your school to, do the demo of the product, how difficult it was to reach there. But we managed to do it, and we're very happy to be working with your school. We've been working with Matthew Sir's school for the last 2 years. I'm going to take up certain points from both yours and Dr. Sanyal's points that you put up. So you said that you need to engage, because first of all, like you said, love, I call it passion also. Passion comes from love, and yes, definitely, as you said, love comes from engagement. You also said that we are in an island. Yes, that's true. And what we need to do is to connect with the world. I so very much wish that India as a country, like other countries, allows schools to connect with foreign schools. What we do is we are connecting one city with the other city. Like the city that I am from, Ahmedabad, is a sister city to a city in Japan, right? We could have these schools to connect. And there again the language thing can come in, because whenever I talk, I'll always talk with language as a perspective. We're talking about both. We need to connect local to get the gyan which was already there. So you said people have always told us that India mein gyan nahi hai. It is something that could be put up into a cupboard. That's because we were never made to believe that we have the gyan. So we are talking about space shuttles now. In medieval times they were already there. But when we were ruled by these people, they made us think, the same thing that, you tie an elephant with a thin rope and make him feel that it is a chain and will not be able to break free. This policy is giving us an opportunity to go and think beyond. So let me tell you one thing. When the policy came in, everybody was scared. But when people started thinking, yes, we can do it, it will become easy. I would say government has done their bit. Let's do our bit. And Matthew, sir, yes, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It may take us time. They've given us 2 years to work on it, implement it by 2022. Things will start, we will fall, we will get up, and I'm sure we'll get up. The will of the policymakers is important. They have shown them. Now we have to do what we've been doing. I have connected with teachers for more than 3,000 schools. I have connected with more than 25,000 teachers. Like one of you said, that sir, like Mr. Matthew said, that when computers came in, they were the resistance. But sir, this pandemic removed that as resistance. Imagine teachers cooking at the same time, taking care of their small kids and their husbands, and teaching at the same time. They were able to do it, and I'm sure they can do more. If this document is understood properly, digested properly, I'm sure this will work. I'll go out onto Vidukesh sir, your point is we need to have an outreach, okay, both globally and locally. And what this NEP has done is has given that, okay, you should be taught in your early years in your mother tongue. Great. So that they start liking it. A lot of kids don't understand science because it is taught in English. I sell English products. But let me come to this point. English as a language has to be there, will be there, but the other local language has to come. Your core subjects have to be taught in your local languages, and what you can do is get onto English. So both of them have to be given the same importance. That is one thing is there. So what is very important is our students need to be given access to a lot of more things. So what I would say is, if the government is a part of this thing, when they're talking about technology enabled education, it should be internet connected technology which needs to be given. And so I hope the WiMAX of what they were trying to do is to get all these cities connected, free Wi-Fi to everybody. That could be something that the government could do. That is something that an individual can't do, but that will work onto that. Going on to what Dr. Sanyal said, connectivity is important. That is there. What this NEP has done is it has removed the restriction of thinking of what I can do. Sir, I remember when I was studying, I did my graduation in 1989. We had either you become a doctor, you become an engineer, or you become a chartered accountant, right? Now today, somebody can be a combination of these. You can choose your subjects. I come from a state where from the last 6 years, they have got CBCS, choice-based credit system. You decide the subjects that you want to take up, have your collective, and then go graduate into that. Do what you love the most, have the passion, and I'm sure that they will be able to take that. So that's something I'm totally with Dr. Sanyal, is that they have stopped restricting our future. Our kids can decide what future they want. They can be both a doctor and a cricketer at the same time. They can both be an engineer and an accountant at the same time. If you talk about entrepreneurs, what happens in today's entrepreneurs is they are good at what they do, but when it comes to accounts, they fail. So they have to depend on others. But with new policy where they can choose the subjects, what will happen is you can do, or you can pick up things that work for you most, which you like the most, and you can get onto that. So that's one thing that I would work onto that. Talking about important thing is you need to use technology. Yes, that's a part of NEP. We need to use a lot of internet. That has to be worked on. We have to get everything which is skill based. Sir, no subject is without skill. Even history has skill, right? You need to take that up. So if we connect each and every aspect of learning, if we connect it to skills, that is what will take us. See, this is what Japan did. This is what China has done. And I'm sure India can do well. We need not all be graduates. We should be good at what we do. So if we understand our NEP properly, I think things are going to be better. We need a large workforce. So if today my family condition is not okay, after 12th I do a diploma, I start working, and then later on when I'm comfortable, I can go do my graduation. That's the best part that they've done. In fact, that's what I will applaud our government for the NEP that they've done. Going more important is we have to teach our students to ask more. We have to teach them how to learn on their own, and all this can be done. If I go back to what I do, is if they're good at their communication, if they're good at their languages, I'm sure they can do anything that they want. I conclude by saying the government has done its bit. Let's do our bit. Let's teach our kids to start thinking what they would want to do, to start living their dreams. A lot of kids have a lot of dreams, but those dreams up till now, they were actually restricted by their parents, saying you do this, you do that. But now with such a lot of things opening up, I'm sure they'll be able to do better. I rest my point here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaswinder sir. And with this, I just recall one quote by Einstein that tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, and involve me I learn. So certainly we need to take all along, and we need to connect the academia with the skill, and this NEP promises in terms of vocational education, it promises that part. So big thanks. We'll come back to you with questions, sir. And we have been joined by Kavita Dahiya ji. Welcome, Kavita ma'am. We missed you during the introductory part. So you represent the higher education world, ma'am. And a lot of educators who have been part of these sessions, they have said that without connecting three islands means the school part, the higher education part, and the industries. Without connecting these three islands, we won't be able to achieve the true meaning. So I would request if you can share your thoughts and ideas about this. Kavita ji, over to you. You are on mute, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to everyone. I think we need to have a very good connectivity and alignment between the schooling, university or colleges, and the corporate. The lacking is the main thing which we were missing until and up till we were not having the introduction of this education policy. As one of the expert already saying that we were having the private sector. But the thing is that new education policy, it has been reframed after a gap of 34 years. So it is bringing some challenges as well as opportunities for the educationist. If I talk about the challenges at school level, there are major 4 challenges which can be thought of as a changes which are required. First one is that the schooling which starts at the age of 3 years now the new education policy is demanding that it will be between 6 to 14 years. And here we have to make our minds, and we have to scrutinize our minds so that we can rethought of that. It is not necessary that when you start at the age of 2 years, 2.5 or 3 years, then only you can become a learned person. No, we can be, if we are going as per the designed syllabi, and the role of the teacher is main here. If I talk about the age of the starting of a student, then becomes the mother tongue as a media for instruction. Yes, the sir was rightly saying ki we need to have good communication skills instead of media of instruction, because the communication skills means you are able to tell what other want to understand. If you are not having those skills, you won't be able to give your best, because many a times we are thinking English is best. No, I must say communication skills, whether you are giving in your own language, it is Hindi, English, or any other languages which are part of our great India, we have to take care of each and everything. So that is also going to be a major, going to play a major role in this education policy. And teachers are the real creators who will be uplifting our new generations, upcoming generations. Then the next thing is that here we will not be having any UGC, neither UGC nor AICT. These bodies will no longer be going to a part who will be telling that what you have to do. Completely entire revolutionization of the education is going to take place. It means it is going to make or provide more opportunities or employment for the educated people. Then we have science, arts, commerce, all get blurred, all are going to be mixed up. You will not be segregating yourself on the basis of the medium. Like sir was saying कि मुझे सारा कुछ पता था, घर के अंदर इलेक्ट्रिसिटी वाज नॉट वर्किंग, बट वो फ्यूज ने वो काम कर दिया. दिस kind of learning will be coming a part of as a role which is being played by NEP. Yahan pe all the different segments, aspects are being implemented by the educators, because 34 years is not a short span of time, and no education policy is made in a day or 2 days. It is a long learning and thinking of many educators or thinkers are there behind these policies. So we'll be learning the basic of each and everything and how it is applied in the different areas. And the last thing is that many opportunities are there that you are not bound to carry on one kind of education only. Multiple exits are possible during graduation also. If you are going to have an education for 2 years, you'll be given a diploma or a certificate, or if you are going to complete, it will be called as a degree. So these are some of the changes or the challenges which are being faced by our teachers or the educators. Now, if this kind of thing is going to be part of our education, definitely when the students will be entering at the college level, they will be having more their orientation towards the research, and there will be good number of innovation as a result of good research, which will include development of indigenous technology in the coming days. Because as and when it will get implemented, definitely we will be having better tomorrow in the form of our kids only. So NEP is trying to develop a conducive environment for imparting quality and outcome-based education. By providing multiple entry and exits, the NEP is providing flexibility to the learners from diverse backgrounds to study in institutions that will be multidisciplinary. You are not going to be a part of a single discipline. You can Oh, and you can color as many as colors you want to, like, and you want to have part of your life. Apart from the innovation, the NEP will be building in entrepreneurial skills also. We will be having more entrepreneurs in the coming times. As a result, more and more jobs will be created by these entrepreneurs within India only. So, NEP is stressing on the institutions to conduct research so that they can cross all the boundaries which are making them to remain in a hollow ball only. So we have to spread our wings in the form of NEP. We can be part of the flourishing countries where we could have been earlier also, but this education policy is giving a better chance to our kids or the generations to come. And if it gets completely implemented, definitely we'll be standing in a line with the countries which are developed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Dahiya, for sharing your thoughts and suggesting, how NEP will help India to be part of that big league. So big thanks, ma'am. We'll come back to you with questions. And now I would request our last speaker for the day, Mr. Sevio. Sevio, if we can have your perspective.
Thank you. See, the NEP advocates a more activity approach, oriented approach, which makes it very interesting for people like us. It always enables more effective learning at the foundational level, which, while also mainstreaming the preschool, which was, largely left unregulated till now. And the preschools are a very important part of the child's life. Over 85% of a child's cumulative brain development occurs prior to the age of 6. There is physical development, cognitive development, emotional, social, sensory, motor development. And a child around this age makes great strides in being able to think and reason. And proper regulation will enable them to participate and flourish in the educational system throughout their life. And the NEP also talks about formally introducing art, classics, history, literature, performing arts, philosophy, theology, and even anthropology. And well formed courses at the fundamental level will lead to proper selection of courses and course choices later on, right? We, being music solution providers, find it a very, very welcome move. And if you read the NEP 2020 carefully, music itself has been mentioned over 20 times. And I was really overwhelmed when I read the point 4.43, which talks about support for gifted students and students with special talents. Like all this was missing in the NPE 1986. And there is also a point in the NEP which mentions schools will now be encouraged to hire local eminent persons or experts as master instructors in various subjects such as traditional local arts, vocational crafts, entrepreneurship, agriculture, and music. All these aspects were never mentioned in the 1986 NEP. And what is commendable is that the NEP has addressed so many diverse aspects, right? And there is a lot of focus on the 21st century skills such as communication, critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and the focus on experience based holistic learning. And it will help the students equip themselves with skills which are required for a practical life. And so I hope I'm not wrong when I say that there will be a quantum shift from rote learning to actually understanding concepts and building skills for life. I feel NAP's strong focus on vocational education is aimed at realistically skilling Indian students for opportunities and situations which they come across. Like somebody was talking about an IIT graduate not being able to figure out how to fix a simple electricity failure. And it will give students the opportunity to build their skills through industry integrated, activity based, a proper hands-on approach. And for preparing the learners to work in the current world, schools would now be focusing on the 21st century skills, which are critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity. And let me just talk about certain activities like I always do in these sessions. To be more specific, common issues like depression, anxiety, stress, tensions, suicidal tendencies, all of this can be handled well, can be tackled well if the attention of the children, the extra time which they have and the stresses which these kids undergo, if they're channelized in the proper way, by exposing them to some kind of music, probably learning an instrument or listening to different forms of music or just appreciating various forms of music. And research shows, that simply listening to music can reduce anxiety, blood pressure, and pain by drastic levels. It also improves sleep quality, mood alertness, memory, and all these things which are mentioned in the NEP, it calls for infrastructure, it calls for huge amounts of investment, it calls for a lot of developments and a lot of support. And here is where third party aggregators like us come to provide the proper solution, right? And where we could help bring our knowledge and our expertise onto the table and give the proper solution. And I think exposing kids to multiple avenues, to these multiple courses, will only help develop more independent individuals. And we will look at a generation of decision makers. And I think introducing or formalizing these activities is definitely going to add more value to the lives of children, thus making them better individuals. And through better individuals, we are looking at a great, great nation. Yeah. Thank you, Rajulji.
Thank you, Savio, for sharing your ideas and thoughts. So, a big thanks to all of you. So, time, for the last part, I would, present questions to all of you, and I would request if our speakers can, share your thoughts and comments on those questions. So, before I start presenting these questions, I'll take a minute in explaining what exactly we are doing, with this school Lalaji Solutions. I'll take a minute. I'll present my screen here. So, some of you are already aware with School Lalaji Solutions. We are India's largest one-stop solution platform for educational institutions. We are currently present in 42 cities, working with somewhere around 4,500 institutions. We help institutions in three different ways. We help institutions in buying the right thing from right people at right price. We also help institutions in selling their old stuff, their old buses, generators, sometimes furniture, to different institutions. So we also help institutions in raising money, that may be in terms of fee financing or in terms of loans. We all have seen this, that in last 8 to 10 years, school, this entire industry has seen huge changes. A lot of new companies with unique products and services have come up. But the one big challenge for all these service providers is, and in fact for the school leaders, is that they are not able to meet everyone. They are not able to, I would say, take the demonstration for every person. Their bandwidth doesn't allow that. So here we come in. We understand your requirement. We understand your taste. We understand your, actual, need, and then accordingly we connect you with the right people. We also do the negotiation with them on your behalf. We are present in these categories. We help institutions in buying smart class, uniform, insurance, diesel. We are supplying diesel to many schools doorstep at 75 paisa per liter, cheaper than the market price. Solar plant, language lab, security solutions, furniture, recruitment, music classrooms, healthcare, robotics, STEM, STEAM labs, career counseling, stationery, digital marketing, IT solutions, educational tour, generators, learning tools, finance. And we help institutions in saving money, when we do the bulk negotiation for them. So we take the guarantee that we'll at least save your 5 to 7%. Just one example, we saved 2 crore 40 lakh rupees, for different institutions in bus insurance, just one category in 2019. These are some major highlights: 8 megawatt plus solar installation, 3,000 bus insurance, 400 plus smart classrooms, 2,000 cameras, 350 training programs, old buses and uniform. By the end of 2021, we aim to reach 10,000 institutions. We need your support, guidance, and blessings. So big thanks. Now time for the questions. So I would request, all our speakers, so I would request Vimal sir, if I can present a first question to you.
Yeah, please.
So this question has been asked by Mr. Naveen Gupta, and he's a PGT Computer Science with St. Mark Senior Secondary School, Delhi. And Naveen ji has asked, how easy would be the implementation and design the new curriculum for NEP? Your comment, sir.
Look, I'll say nothing will be easy. I think that the expectation that, because we are changing about orientation, we are changing about the behavioral change, and we are changing about overall the outlook. It's not going to be easy. Fine. So that's why we need to be very sure about that. It's not going to be easy, but yes, at the same time, if you plan it properly and you can break it to the small level and the say micro level, and then from there you build it. Don't look at the whole thing in a full perspective, that in one first academic year the school be able to do everything possible. Every school has their own priorities, their own strengths, their own weaknesses, and I'm pretty sure some of the point majority of schools must be doing it based on your priority, based on your strength. The school can choose accordingly, build from that micro level to the bigger picture. If that is the step, I'm pretty sure schools be able to implement it. But don't look at big thing, and at the same time, don't think that it's going to be easy.
Thank you, sir.
Let me, Bhajan, so just a minute. I'm sorry, I'm coming in. So that's a Lego theory. Build it brick by brick.
Yes.
Start any side, from any corner, you will reach the end. But that Lego theory has to work in, sir.
Yes.
Please, sir. Please. Sorry.
Right. Thank you. I would request Sanyal sir, if we can present this one to you. Sanyal sir, am I audible?
Sir is on mute.
Yeah, tell me, ask me, sir, what is it?
Yeah, this has this has been asked by Mr. D.V. Nagasai. He's a PGT dance with the Hyderabad Public School, Hyderabad. He has asked how the NEP is going to be beneficial to remote village schools or government schools.
See, if he's from Hyderabad, I would just like to tell you one thing. If you go, Hyderabad has given us one of the greatest family dancers in Radharaja Reddy. If you just hear about their lifestyles, how they spread dance into the remotest parts of Andhra Pradesh, I'm not talking of Radharaja Reddy being blessed with 2 wives, but his spread of the dance was so immaculately planned. And as both the gentlemen, Jaswinder sir and Vidukesh sir said, that if we do anything in a very planned manner, see, dance to be presented to the different outskirts of Andhra Pradesh or to Telangana, if you want to go ahead with it, this particular dance is a dance of that soil. You do not teach them something which is out of that soil first. First, let them learn the integrity of what that soil has given, the language has given. In India, the problem is, more than knowing our country, we know when Michael Jackson was born, but we might not know when our father was born. We forget that. So the problem is, you learn the dance of that place, you learn that, and once you know that dance, you can amalgamate dance with various other dances. Because basic dances, if you see the Bollywood dances, they're amalgamated with a lot of classical dances. So to go ahead, you have to go in the way Jaswinder sir says, brick by brick. You have to go ahead in that manner. You have to learn the integrity of the dance, love the dance, but then this education policy has to play a very important role in it, because in our families, we have always have, what are you going to do with dance? Is that going to make a career out of you? So we stop it at the initial stages. Here, the parents also have to understand that the love of the child is not only dance, but if he loves the dance, he or she can do good in other things also. So I think if you want to know the dance, this dance is of that soil. Learn the dances of those different soils. Don't try to jump into various boats, but do it in a very meticulous and a very meaningful manner, step by step. I think anything can be done. Dances can be introduced in the village level, in the panchayat level, and there is no dearth of dance teachers in Hyderabad, in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh for this form of dance. Master it. I think we can do wonders with it.
May I just chip in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
In
sir.
fact, one of the very interesting concept which this NEP talks about is cluster schools. Fine.
Absolutely.
And that's very interesting aspect, especially for the remote areas and the places where, say, infrastructure is a big issue. They talk about cluster where you create a cluster where the facilities can be shared. Where
Yeah.
your
Right.
say middle school, your primary school, and all kind of schools can share certain facilities, sports ground, your technology, your computer labs. So that's very interesting concept of cluster they're bringing. You can arrange transportation to ensure that kids are reaching to that particular school. So that's a part. And the second part, I'll say that in a remote area, what is the biggest challenge? The biggest challenge is delivery of quality content. Fine. And then focus on digital education, focus on connecting that remote part to the central digital as a reservoir. That's going to work in favor, because you're ensuring that at the remotest part in this country, they are receiving the quality content in the form of digital content created by a central agency, created by the government of India, created by different places at the district level and the state level. So I personally feel it's going to sort out so many problems which at present the remote India or the remotest places are facing.
True.
I
Absolutely.
have one supplementary question to this, Vidukesh sir. We also had a concept of Sahodyas, in CBSE for a couple of years now. So I just want to know, just as a curious student, was there anything which was stopping us till now, to share our resources from other schools?
Look, I'll tell you that 2-3 things. Number one, your geographical places, because the schools were not designed in that manner. Fine.
Okay.
Say, for example, why I'm saying this, because I was part of that review committee in Uttarakhand, which reviewed this particular aspect. Fine. So I can say confidence. Like, say, for example, your primary school is in X place, then your middle school on Y mountain in the same area. Fine, and the distance is around, say, 10 kilometers. Then, say, if each school has got two computers, and if you put all computers together, it will become 6 computers. But at present, only two computers, and then travel, then the sports field, everything becomes a big issue. I think this cluster program, especially, it is suited to the remotest part and where the tough situations, like tough conditions like desert areas, tough conditions like mountains, is going to help those areas in a big way.
Okay.
May I add something here?
Yes, sir. Your turn is.
Yeah,
This is your
see,
turn.
being very active in the Sahodyas, see, there is a lot of scope and it is still going on. That is the sharing the resources and having a lot of curricular and co-curricular activities among the Sahodaya schools. In Hisar, we have a lot of sharing and a lot of activities, academic as well as the sports activities are there. And that helps a lot. That is, Sahodaya means rising together. And a lot of this sharing has helped the schools to come up. Then hubs of learning, the CBSE has come up with this one. This has also helped the schools. But as far as the new education policy is concerned, the cluster, not only the private schools, but also the government schools are added. 1 or 2 government schools will be there in all the clusters. In the nearby government schools and private schools can share their resources and exchange program. In Haryana, the government has Haryana government has started about 2 years back, and every private school is having 1 or 2